I feel like we have to begin this one with a drum roll at the very least.
Hey.
There we go.
Ta-da.
Yay! Welcome back to the randInt podcast with Raffy and Chandra. Have we got clapping? Have we got anything? Is anything working? It's been too
Clap, clap,
long.
clap.
Yay!
Which button?
There we go.
Hey.
Welcome back to season 6, and possibly the latest start to a season that we've ever had.
Yeah, why is
Which
that?
is-
What a mystery. We would never know as to why. Crazy talk.
So, in
Completely
order to
unrelated
answer-
news.
in order to maybe piece together what could possibly have been the issue, I think we should catch up first and begin with a how are you? So, Chandra, how are you?
I'm pretty good. I'm now in the same time zone as you.
So, since we last literally chatted months ago, why
Months
have
ago,
we
yes.
not had a podcast? What's been going on?
Well,
Cough. It
I've
was all
been
Chandra's fault.
multifactorial, really.
Yeah, the factorial being Chandra, his schedule, and his inability to reply to a fucking message.
Yeah, possibly. I blame it on the time zone. Okay, there is.
You were
I've
in the
been
time zone before.
the New York Bahamas time zone, and
Yeah,
is
like
killing
previous
me.
years.
1 year, thank you, but
Yeah.
it is killing me. I cannot do Australian calls in that area because basically the time to chat to people in Australia either ends up at like 5 a.m. my time, which
Perfect.
not ideal.
No, it's ideal.
Or it ends up at like a good, between 5 and 9 p.m., which is sunset o'clock and dinner time on a boat.
Nice.
And earlier than that, yeah, there's like 0 daytime hours. And yeah, time zones have been a killer this year. Basically, I've gone down to one overnight of startup stuff. So I started about 6 p.m. on a Sunday and then keep going till 4 a.m. And that's like all my startup calls. And then after that, I'm a bit wrecked. And I was just like, I tried to do ad hoc phone calls here and there and schedule things in. It just does not work. So I gave up on pretty much all phone calls afterwards. I'm like,
Yeah,
can't
but this
do
is not
this.
a
I'm
phone
dying.
call. This is like SpaceX-enabled podcasting from the future.
And it's got AI and crypto
It
and
is.
Apple. I just thought we got to hit the goals once. Hang on, one more.
Wait.
Apple, AI,
Tesla.
crypto.
Yeah,
Tesla. Yes.
Yeah,
And Tesla.
there we
I was
go.
actually just visiting somebody who had a Tesla. So there we go.
Actually, so dear listeners, it has
Speaking
been
on that front,
so
I'm
long.
borrowing my friend's car at the moment, and I got to say, it's been a while since I've been driving, and it's really annoying, like having cars that don't steer themselves. Like you have to like turn the wheel and stuff. Like it's very inconvenient. I don't know who designed these cars.
Well, it's been so long since we last recorded a podcast that Riverside, the software that we use, actually looks different. So we were digging around going,
Yeah.
where did this button go? Hey,
What
what
is
does this
this?
button do?
I was pleasantly surprised.
So we actually spent a long time just chatting, but also just trying to figure out, like, how do we actually start the recordings these days? Because, yeah, it's been way too long. So
Times have
actually,
changed.
what have you been up to?
Well, I
Apart
have
from
finally
dishing.
arrived back in Australia. I've been at work for a week. That's right. I do work. It was kind of funny. Like I posted up on Instagram, like, some stories about, theater work. People like, oh, do you still work? Okay. We thought you just like travel full time and that's it now. I'm like, not quite. I'm working on it, but not quite.
Yeah,
It
so,
was actually nice to be in theater though, I got to say. Like, earlier this week, it was like going to theater and I was like, yeah, this is fun. I like cutting. It's good. But
yeah,
so
it
back
doesn't
in
sound like a
Australia for a
sociopath
week
at
now.
all.
No, not at all. Not at all. Let me cut you. Coming back to Australia was interesting because I had my flights initially booked through Doha, which is, flying through Qatar is usually my go-to because there's an easy flight from Qatar straight to Perth. But turns out nowadays flying through the Middle East is not the best idea. When
Why
I first
not?
sort
It's
of
exciting.
had because I booked that flight like, a year in advance because points. And then about, 2 months before, I was like, oh, when the whole, whole thing started, I was like, this will probably be over in a couple of weeks, right? And then I was looking less and less and less like that.
I
So
mean, this week
hence why I had
kind
to
of has been
rebook my
fine.
flights through Paris, which is where I met Eleanor. So, what are the odds of that?
Dear listeners, it so happened that, I haven't seen Chandra and whatchamacallit, he was flying through Paris and my wife just happened to be there. So then I get this photo from both of them catching up. And so I texted her. So I was like, so he doesn't have time for a podcast, but he has time for a big gift. And I sent
She
it
had
to
good
Jen.
intel on where the croissants were.
So Jen, who helps us edit and post all the podcast stuff. So I sent her the photo and she was like, what the F is this? Like, did he not get all the texts about when, like, he was free? This would have been one of them. I'm like, I know.
I just wanted to baguette. So I got to say, the French are very lazy. So I got up in the morning because, I got startup
we've
calls
lost our
from...
one French listener. Gone.
Sorry. You guys
Come
have
back.
excellent work-life balance, you lazy bums. Because I got up, so I was like,
La
great. I've got,
croissant.
48 hours in France. Great. Let me catch up on the meetings and stuff. So I was like, all right, got the calls scheduled from like 5:30 a.m. till 2. Perfect. Let's get going. So I was like, all right, 5:30, had a couple of calls. And I was like, all right, yeah, it's get to 6:30 or 7. There's a bit of light. Let me go outside and I'll get a coffee. And, Eleanor had recommended a good, croissant place. So I was like, oh, you know what I could do with? Because I had a couple of phone calls, which I didn't need to be on Zoom. So I was like, perfect. I'll get a coffee and a croissant. Right? Turns out, 7 o'clock. No, there's no one.
Oh, seven's things just start.
The croissant bakery place had open, but their coffee looked not great. So I got a croissant, which was great. And I sat outside the coffee shop that was recommended. And eventually the dude turns up, a bit after 8. And then he's like, oh, yeah, give me a minute. He's just sitting outside, having a smoke, having his coffee as well, patting the dog. And he's like, we'll open soon-ish. Bloody French.
Well,
Where's the hustle culture?
I'm glad you didn't try for lunch there. We wanted a quick lunch once and we sat down. It took half an hour for the waiter to come just to get to the order. And I was like, we were trying to kill some time to actually go check in. So we were just like trying to kill half an hour. I'm like, now we're not early. Now we're going to be late. Yeah, that was like the first time. So I'm like, okay, it's a different pace, that's for sure. Which is kind of like,
I need to get to have like my... Yeah, I think like it. I guess it's just the place. So
no, it's so like how there's like hustle culture in the US, or people are like, oh yeah, we worked really long hours or hard in Asia, right? But Australia is meant to be laid back, right? And Europe is like like it gets compared to Europe, right? Like as in it's a laid back culture, but having done the sabbatical in the States and then also done a lot of European travel, like my brother lives in, like I'm going to be there. Probably by the time this episode comes out, I'm going to be in the UK. But I got to say, we are way closer to American hustle culture than we are anywhere near European culture.
There's coffee shops open in the morning.
Yeah, and but the pre-COVID, one of the coffee shops downstairs used to open at like 5:30, right? And now it's like 6:30. But by 6:30, and even in winter, you can get a cafe coffee, and 7-Eleven's always there, obviously. And even their coffee's not terrible. Like there's far worse in the world. But yeah, it's interesting because I don't know that we are actually that laid back as like the stereotype suggests. And
I think we
don't know
just
if it's
travel
just,
a lot.
huh?
I think we just travel a lot. I keep seeing like there's Australians everywhere.
No, but like just think of it this way, right? Like the stereotype that the world has of Aussies is this laid back, everyone goes to the beach, right? And it's like, oh yeah, like you go there, it's like lifestyle balance. And I'm like, I don't know. Like I would say, and this is probably just a whole bunch of workaholics like you and the rest of our friends probably don't help the stereotype here.
View.
But even if you look around to like friends who I would say have like great work-life balances, they probably actually prioritize work a bit more than some of the European countries that I've been to. Just as a whole, as society, I think we are actually closer to like America, Asian hustle culture than we are to Europe, which is where we get compared against, which is kind of weird, right? Like you go, what's next to Australia? Well, there's like Bali and Fiji, which is like wellness and like chill out capitals of the world. And then you skip a bit to Singapore and China and America. But we've kind of adopted that ethos more than our immediate neighbors. Yeah. So it's just like one of those. Yeah, but there's the barrier of wellness in the way before
Yeah,
you get
true.
to hustle of but we haven't taken the things by osmosis. We've actually like I just find it interesting because I just don't think that's the stereotype. Like I don't know
Yeah.
when Australia changed, but it clearly was sometime in the 80s. It was still laid back, and I think
Mm.
so, and even in the 90s. But somewhere in like mid to late 90s, early 2000s, things must have changed because like I feel like if I go to Europe, I'm like everything's just slower. Like I mean, you can go to London. It's
Yeah,
like a really
it is
busy
much.
city, and you go, okay, like like clearly they must be go get it attitude. And you're like, no, Australia's got more of the get it attitude than London does. I just found it really weird,
Mm.
which my brother actually disagrees. He's in London and he's like, yeah, Australia just feels the same. Like, don't know if we're just like medicine is that different to finance because maybe finance here is what do I know about like how the banks and the big things work here. But at the same time, random side tangent that is characteristic of all random episodes. So last year, I think we had an episode when I was in New York at a Samsung event. And so it was like the Unpacked Whatnot, met like a tech bro who makes content about like IT jobs and tech jobs over in the States. So that's his entire social handle is like how to get tech jobs, that sort of stuff, and like talks people through it. If you looked at some of the posts, I was like, holy crap, I had no idea. I only discovered by accident because I was wandering around downtown Philadelphia. There is an entire building in downtown Philadelphia that is Macquarie Group headquarters, USA. So our finance, like not even our top bank, like fifth or sixth bank, is so big that it has an entire building just for it. And it has in Seattle or SF, I can't remember, its own tech hub that's recruiting like engineers from Google and Meta, like just you don't get to be that if your society doesn't have some element of competitiveness and hustle culture. It seems like it's trying to make the point that the stereotype is probably not right with the reality of Australia or Australians. Anyway, the random
Yeah.
detour.
It's interesting as well, like where I saw some stuff where I was like, oh, they seem to be actually working kind of hard. So I was like the last place I was in is the sandblast region of Panama. So basically, it's Panama near the Panama Canal, a couple hundred miles to the east of that. There's an area which is basically
Not
just
Venezuela, not getting
no,
kidnapped.
before not Colombia, not there. That was where I was supposed to go, but plans changed. Yeah, it's basically like 300 little islands. So we're talking like population, 4 to 10 palm trees on most of the islands, and some of them might have like 30 or 50. But
How many digital nomads per palm tree?
there's a few around, but there's also like a lot of the locals will come by and sell you fish and lobsters and crabs and stuff. And some of them are pretty like feels like they're working hard, like really hustling. Like they'll I anchored out in an anchorage, which was like, I like the remote out of the way places. So found one place, which was actually right next
Yes,
to the
we've
mountains
realized
area.
where there
Yeah.
is no reception or your ability to do a
Yeah.
podcast.
It's like, sorry, this place, it's sketch. But I go there. And this place was maybe like 4 miles away from any like other anchorage and people at all. And the locals, their boats, they've just got like a little dugout canoe and a big paddle. That's it. And some of them have some sails to get around. So it takes a fair while to row out to like go 4 miles. That anchorage, we were there for a week. There'd be a dude who would turn up every single day. Like literally as we were coming into the anchorage, he saw us. And then like half an hour later, he'd row over. He was like, lobsters and fish? Like, sure. Because it's like, $5 or $10 for a lobster. Like, great, thanks. And then he came every day. But you could see he's not like from the area. There's no area there. So he's probably like coming out like an hour or two with his fish that he's caught to go like, you want some? Yeah. So people are working hard.
But I think that's true for any, like, if you want to divide it into like, high income countries, medium income, and low income countries, it's like
But it's like I would
Bangladesh, right?
have it imagined like I'd be like, but these people are like living in paradise. They're like on, you know,
No, no,
their island is, and yeah,
but
no,
it's
they're
just like
like
the resources
working.
and like you get to do geo arbitrage, right? Like you just have
Mm,
floating McMansion that is the boat,
apartment, thank you, apartment.
but also the resources to be able to buy like the lobster for $10, which
Mm.
because you're coming from a place where it's like 40 or whatever. I don't actually know. I've never really bought a lobster. Um, Weirdly, this is true. Yeah, I've never actually bought a lobster to
I've never
cook.
bought one here. I can't afford that.
Yeah, like I actually don't know how much it costs. Like, as in, it's just not something I know how
I
to
feel
cook.
like I've seen at restaurants like $80 and things like this. If anybody
Yeah,
knows,
but
do
that's
let us
cooked, right?
know.
Like, yeah.
Oh,
Like, if
right.
you know
Well,
what the, yeah, like, as in, what is the price of a fresh lobster? Because I'm assuming the
I don't
guy's not
know.
cooking it and bringing it on his canoe boat because
No,
that's not
I want
salmonella, whatever
to. No, I
salmonella of the
will cook it
seas
myself.
is.
Thank you
Yeah.
very much.
Yeah.
I've gotten very good
Uh,
at cooking lobster now.
yeah, it's like I wouldn't even know how to, but I think like he wouldn't be able to do it to the locals because whatever the price is, it's probably more expensive than sea bass or whatever the common fish of the area is, right? Like I don't know.
No, interestingly, actually, the big fish would sometimes be like $10 or $15, and the lobster would be like $10. You're like, oh well, sure.
Well, yeah. Well, I mean, big fish volume, right? Like they got to
Yeah, yeah.
actually, yeah.
Still, it just felt weird. It's all right. We'll go for the budget option. We'll just take the lobster today.
And that's why it's a McMansion that we refer to his boat as.
At one stage, there was about 6 lobsters in the freezer because I also
Oh
don't
man,
like killing them when they're alive, so I kind of just put them in the freezer.
because that doesn't kill them.
Well, I can't see it. So it was known as the murder freezer. There was one section of the freezer which became the murder freezer.
And yet, it's like, yes, I will just freeze a live organism, but chicken is too far.
Please, I'm vegetarian. He just goes to sleep, all right? He just goes to sleep gently.
So, dear listeners, just a walk down memory lane about Chandra's level of ethics. At one point, he really liked cheeseburgers, and then
That
at
was
one
great.
point, huh? Yeah.
It was
And at
great. I
one
missed
point, his conscience wouldn't let him eat anything but lamb because that was a vegetable. Then lamb
exactly.
became too difficult. Now murder
Yep.
freezing lobsters is okay.
Yeah, they're seafood. It's fine. They're just having a little cold sleep. It's fine. It's fine.
And
Fine.
then taking them out and putting them into boiling water, I assume. I don't know. Like, how do you cook lobster?
No, not boiling water. There's the whole thing. You gotta like, I maybe shouldn't describe it on here, but I prepared the lobster in a specific way. But the
Yes.
lobster
yes.
has passed away by that time, so it's fine.
Totally accidentally, has nothing to do with Chandra. Yes,
No.
but we had this chat ages ago, which is like, couldn't you just add chicken? Probably like the world's easiest to source, most commonly available protein. No, that one is
No,
ethically
no.
it's
That's
just
just
too
wrong.
far. But lamb was okay.
That was
Lobster
delicious.
freezing is okay.
I'm not
So,
freezing the
dear
lamb.
I mean, you could if you're okay with that. Why don't you just freeze a lamb
I couldn't do that.
or a chicken?
Lamb are too cute.
So, dear listeners, if you have some sort of theory as to how this is meant to work, because I have a hard time processing a coherent, I'll just have to accept what you say is
Because
true
logic.
and move on with life. Yes. If you have any theories of how this is meant to work, please just let me know. I need some construct apart from like squint really hard and just go, to someone, this makes sense. And then move
Always
on with
makes sense.
life.
It's very logical.
Anyway, we should continue the podcast of like, okay, so
gotta go.
good season back in Australia working,
Yes.
land travel versus boat travel. What do you mean by
Yeah, well,
that?
one of
That was
the it's an interesting thing has been just like being on the boat. Love it. It's great. But then also did like it was just like a week of land travel after the boat, just as like an end of season trip. And yeah, it was kind of nice actually to mix up a little bit of land travel as well. And
What do you mean by
I
land
think
travel?
just bum around to went to a couple of hotels or Airbnbs and stuff, and just traveling around Boca del Toros, which is in Panama. Nice area.
Did you actually
I was
travel
like,
on the land, or were you just like staying at a hotel and you're now calling anything that's
I
not
just went to
boat
the
land
Airbnb, so
travel?
well, look, I have to transition to land travel. So it was an Airbnb, which was like a hut on the water, so you can
dear
like
listeners,
walk off the hut into the water onto the paddleboard.
so just strike the travel from land travel. He was just on land, full stop. He didn't move.
Yeah.
There was no
Look,
traveling.
it
except
was a
for maybe walking out
non-mobile
the door.
over water accommodation.
So Chandra's definition of travel has changed to like boat must do the moving to holy shit, I have feet and I have to travel myself. Like
It's
what
very
is this?
inconvenient. Like, did you know you have to like pack and unpack and all this rubbish? But
Oh.
yeah, it was an interesting thing. I was like, when I got off the boat, I was like, oh yeah, I think it's time to, off the boat. And so I think I'll always kind of maintain a little bit of not just aim for like continuously being on the boat, but always aim for like, a little bit of land travel. So for example, this time going back to the boat, it's rainy season at the moment in Panama. I would have gone back in October. That was the plan. But I've decided, I'm going to delay that for a month and just do like some general travel. Like, I'm going to be in Sri Lanka, and I've never traveled in Sri Lanka before. So I was like, oh, maybe I'll bum around Sri Lanka for a month before going back to the boat. Yeah.
Are you here till
Something different to
October?
try. Mid-September, I leave. Yeah. So working
That's
till
like
the end
a
of August.
long chunk. What the?
No,
Are you
4
feeling
months.
okay?
4 months.
Huh?
4 months of work, and then got a month bumming around Melbourne and family holiday, and then yeah, so it'll be 6 months off the boat this time. It'll be a fun
Ah,
time, crazy talk.
yeah. I was gonna say this doesn't seem right. Like there's almost been like a boat injection with a hint of scurvy reducing land time, and it has been like the historic norm.
I found the cure for scurvy is sunset cocktails, because all cocktails have some sort of lime or lemon in them, so it's all good. Doing my
Fair
part.
enough. Fair enough. Man, for us landlubbers, it's been yeah, interesting. Interesting. Actually, this is one question that I had, which is like, you mentioned going through Qatar and stuff. Like, I know you have Starlink and everything else, but do you feel disconnected is probably the wrong word, but some version of more separate to all the craziness in the world? Like, for some
Yeah,
reason,
for
like,
sure.
like, yeah,
Yeah,
okay,
like I've had some
explain.
people who have been on the boat who they follow the news very, very closely.
Like, as
And
in, are
there's like,
they
oh, did
long-term
you know?
travelers or are they just visiting?
Yeah, one of them was. But again, they didn't last too long. But anyway, they're like getting very sad that Trump's doing this and that and that, this and that. But most people on the boat kind of don't really care about the news that much, to be honest. It'd be just like, huh, cool. Anyway, where do you want to go swimming today? Which island do you want to visit? The news is not really that much of a topic of discussion. Occasionally, there's something interesting in the news. Like there was an anesthetist who uh, offed his wife on a hike in Hawaii, and so
What?
that became an interesting thing. And they had like the trial. And I was like, all right. Ended up watching that for a few
First,
days.
I'm hearing about it, but
Your
hey, there you go.
people, your people.
Hey, we're just look. Other people attempt, we just succeed.
Well, this guy attempted but not succeeded, and
Oh,
like
then he's
his
a
whole
failure.
story
He's
was
been
hilarious.
struck out. He's not allowed to be.
Yep, he was just like, but it was interesting because it's like, yeah, you don't really follow the news that much. Like when I'm here and stuff, I'll usually watch. I know Stephen Colbert stuff on YouTube and whatnot, clips.
For what, another 2 weeks before he goes off air?
Yeah, sad.
Yeah.
But yeah, clearly, see, I've been watching it a lot, but I just tend not to really watch that stuff that much on the boat. And I guess the other thing is normally it's like a topic of conversation, like somebody else will mention it. If you haven't seen another person for like a week, then there's less mentioning. But also, when you meet other people, the news is not what you really talk about. It's like, hi, where are you from? Where are you going? Topic of conversation is also different, and people also tend to avoid discussing the news because they're like, oh, are they a Trump supporter or are they a Trump hater or what are they? Like, hey, you kind of just leave politics out of things.
Yeah, fair enough. Fair enough. Yeah. Okay. I
Just
would just
doesn't come
assume
up
that.
as much.
Well, I just assume that you'd feel more disconnected just from like society at large, right? Like if you're only seeing
Yeah.
10 people and you kind of know them, it's like
Yeah.
you don't have to discuss politics because, like, I mean, if you think about it, politics is just how do you organize a group of large people that you can't quite do in a social, like, as in, it's outside the whatever 130 or whatever that number is, after which people become strangers, right? So politics is just what happens when you have group decision making at scale. That's just, but fundamentally, you cannot agree on everything because it's just too big a group, and we just happen to call it politics and move on. But yeah, no, I was just
And it
curious
just
about it.
feels like that stuff is just so far removed. Like, even though it's
Yeah,
not, like it feels removed and foreign.
you're on a boat.
Like,
Yeah, yeah, it's
it's
your
like,
floating mansion.
it's like, interesting. No missiles coming this way. Anyway,
You just have to go to Venezuela; it would have been fine, or Cuba. Like, just to try and sneak in there. I think
yeah,
originally there was like,
no, so that did end up affecting my plans a bit because initially I was like, oh, sweet, from the Bahamas, it'd be sick to visit Cuba, right? And then I think Cuba got blockaded, and then there's like no
it's
fuel
still
there. And I think
blockaded.
people are sad, and people are like, oh, nah, it's not a good time right now. Like, yeah. So it's like, you don't really be a tourist at this point in time when things aren't good.
Yeah.
And I'm sure people go, and I'm sure it's fine. But I was like, you know what? Like, I don't need to add risk to my life unnecessarily.
It's not fine. They're barely functioning.
Yeah, exactly. It feels like a weird time to say, hey, how you doing? Not well. Interesting. Can I take some photos?
Do you have lobster?
Wait, are the lobsters cheaper now? Hey, I'll bargain with you. What do you reckon? What are you going to do? Sell us to the next one? So, yeah.
Yes. Being proper brown when the times are down, it's like this. All I'm hearing is more bargaining chips this way.
Well, when I
Yeah. Yeah. Like, I mean, of course, like,
there's some have some milk tins and some other random stuff, and all right, off you go.
yeah, it's like, I mean, I think that's the other weird thing is like the world. If you're listening to this podcast, you probably think things are fixed price, but the world works on barter, right? Like, as
Yeah,
in, that's
prices are more
really
of
it. We just,
a guideline and a suggestion.
like, it's. So random story detour. Like, you go to Bunnings or like a hardware store and there's plants. Like, you can
Mm.
buy a pot plant, and the pot plant is like $12.99 for, I don't know, tulips, said whatever, right? It had never crossed my mind to bargain because it's just like you buy
Mm.
your hammer for like $5, you buy your
Mm.
plants for whatever it
I'll give you
says.
$4 for the hammer.
So, but I went with my dad.
How did
So
that go?
as we were approaching the counter, he asked for a discount. I'm like, Dad, it's like Bunnings. He's like,
Money.
yes, but there's one brown leaf. And I was like, sure, I'm brown enough.
Yeah.
There's a brown leaf. Can I get a discount? They made it half price. This is like,
What?
it was literally, the leaf is brown. That's all I said. Can I get a discount? Yes.
Oh, man. Amazing. Amazing. And you're going to
And I
value
was
that
like-
plant so much more now that you got it on discount as well.
But I was just like hats off, like, because you just walk into these places and you just go like, it is what it is, it's a set price, we move on because it's just streamlined for that. I didn't like, this is not like, let me call my manager. It's like just the guy at the till. He's like,
Like, all right, sure.
discount button on 30%. How's that sound? I was expecting like a laugh and we
It's like
move
5.
on.
Yeah, yeah. It's like, it's Bunnings. Anyway, swipe here.
Yeah. So then I was like, how about a bit more? And I think he just made it with something else. And I was like, all right. Like, I mean, turns out pushing your luck when you totally do not expect to work,
Nice.
Yeah. So there you go. Dear listeners, a tip for the day. You can haggle basically everywhere.
Yep.
So random growing up brown stuff. Like, what else were we going to talk about? Oh,
What
yeah.
about you?
So,
What have you been up to? Or what's been happening?
man, it has been an experience. So a lot of it has been family stuff. We've got like family members that are ill at the moment. So there's been a lot of medical things, and being one of the doctors in the family, you just kind of get asked stuff. So a lot of it has been like, you go to work, you come home, and then you have like another pile of medical things. So I've been trying to do non-medical stuff just as a break. So weirdly, I don't know what's happened, but since our last recording, I've had a weird number of brands reaching out to actually collaborate. Like, I've always kind of done little bits, like, I used to work with Samsung and whatnot. But then Oppo, another phone brand, is like, yeah, we'll send you a phone. Can you shoot some photos for us? Here's a theme. Can you like do that stuff? And if you look, like, as of right now, if you go to Oppo Australia, it's unlabeled because my Samsung contract doesn't allow me to get tagged by Oppo. But there's at least 2 or 3 posts that are mine on there.
Just like your secret Apple sponsorship. Haha.
Yeah. Apple sponsorship. Yeah, sure. But also, it's genuinely don't know how this is coming about, but like, I got this. And for those just listening, it's like how would I call it? It's like a phone accessory kit. So it's like a grip and a light and like a neutral density filter. It's for the Samsung S06 Ultra. So this brand tells, and I mean, these are like, I looked this up. This is like 120 for this little kit. So like, it's not like,
Not
it's not gonna be, yeah, it's not nothing, but it's also something that I would actually use. So I was like, I'll happily review it. Yeah. So there was that. Then there was like, I'm just looking around my desk at the moment. Like, it's out of nowhere. Soundpeats, like the earphone brand, sent me these like open ear earphones. I still don't know how they, and it's just like, I use them at the gym. Like, they're actually really good for open ear earphones that I'd never really considered. And so I was like, all right, cool. Yeah, I'll make a video on it. So there's and then I had like a EV car charger company, like, like the wall charger. So they were like, we'll send you a free wall charger if you make a YouTube video. I'm like, mate, it's a cable. There is no way you can speak at length about a cable. Like,
wait, is it a cable or is it a charging station?
There's a charging. You could have picked like the wall-mounted charging station thing, but I'm like,
yeah,
not
that would
be
be
able
maybe
to.
a video.
But even then, like, for a consumer-facing thing, it's like you get box go on wall, electrician go beep boop, your car go plug in. you can talk about some of the specs, but you could also just look it up. It doesn't need to be a video for this, right? And charging cable, you can kind of go, hey, it tells you how much you're charging through. There's a couple of little things, but like maybe I could put it in for a 30
YouTube short.
Yeah, like 30-second video sort of a thing. Do I need another charging cable? No. Would I just try and make a video just to see like how far can I get with I ran this experiment like 2 years ago, which was like, what's the most
What if
boring
you
video
ask
I can make?
ChatGPT, how would I make a 5-minute video about a charging cable?
No. So you think that ChatGPT can outdo me? I made a 20-minute video on the screen protector for a Microsoft Surface that has the highest affiliate earning known. So you think ChatGPT is going to outdo me? I did it on a screen protector. I'm the training data for when you ask that query.
That's fair. That's fair. It's like, what would Raffy do? Yeah.
And I didn't do it once. I did it twice. And I have the proof. If you look up Raffy Halim on YouTube, you will find 2 videos about screen protectors because I was like,
we're going to have
surely
to add this to the show links. Listeners, we all have to watch this and marvel at this. Get the popcorn.
Literally, I was like, okay, I have got nothing to make videos on except for these screen protectors. I'm like, all right, I'm going to make a long form video on screen protectors. I don't know how this is going to work because yeah, it was like, make the most boring video I can, but make it like at least, I can't remember what the time limit was, like 5 or 10 minutes. One of them was like 15. I don't know what I talked about. It's a screen protector, but I managed to do it. Maybe that's the video they saw. They're like, man, he took a screen protector.
Like,
can we give him a charger?
Impressive. What else can we give him? Should we just give him a cardboard box and see what happens?
Yeah.
Oh no, that'd just be 20 minutes of your cats playing the cardboard box.
I was going to say,
that's actually quite a good video.
Amazon box over there where my cat now decided that's where he sleeps. So
yeah, of course.
So yeah, I've had all these interesting sort of collabs just come up, which has been kind of nice. Like, it's just unexpected. Like, I've got like the Samsung Smart Ring, Dreamy, which is like a RoboVac company who just recently announced they're going to make.
Might have to use your skill set here, because one of the things actually that I was thinking of doing is also some like brand things, but for volunteer work. Because up until now, I haven't really been in remote-ish places. I don't think the US needs, or Greece or the Bahamas needs, remote only care. But now that I'm starting to get out into some of the little rando islands, I was like, I might actually start looking into how can I do some volunteer off-the stuff along the way. Even not operating, but even like just doing some like little screening clinics or whatever. So I was going to look into it. But I was also thinking, there's probably going to be a whole bunch of companies that might want to support this effort. So brand collab.
Well, I don't know
if only I knew somebody.
Literally, so Riverside's on one browser tab. On the other browser tab right now is a half AI post that Mindray. So actually, this leads back to one of the points. So since last time, so there's been the health stuff with the family, and one of the things that has been in the works for a while actually happened, which was Stanford was going to, I go and teach at Stanford going in July, but they actually wanted to come to Australia. So I put together a random program by talking to one of the bosses in my department, and I was like, hey, I hate committees, so can I just do this? And he was like, sure. If you're going to do anything really dumb, can you let me know? But other than that, go nuts. Sure. And so then we're like, they're going to be in clinical areas. They want to do an observership. And he's like, there's like a 8-page document to fill in. I was like, man, I get uni students who are engineering students, and we have them as part of their course for University of Melbourne. I organize that, and they don't have to do any verification. And these guys are actual medical doctors that I saw working at Stanford. They're not. They're also not going to do anything dumb because they're the same profession, and they're not going to have any input on patient care. So if we can do that with uni students that are like, I don't know, like 20 years old,
context.
with and why can't I do it with that? And they're like, yeah, fair enough. There is this other exception. So again, just make it happen and tell us if you're going to be really dumb about it. And so anyway, I got to basically do whatever I wanted. And then I was like, hey, I'm just gonna fund it myself. If later, you want to contribute, great. If you don't, that's fine. It's just something I just want to see in the world. Like, I would happily
make it happen. Yeah. It's just easier to rather than trying to.
And this was just before one of our new hospitals opened. He was also like, go do it. We'll ask for permission later. I'll figure out a way. And I'm like,
we'll work it out. Sure.
So, there's some stuff that I just did, You're not going to go like
I feel like
stationaries
it's
and
good for
like
the
designing.
hospital. Like it's plenty of good
Well, like
marketing stuff for
the
them
payoff
and
at the end is
co-branding.
so like this is because the hospital was opening a new hospital. Like the attention was elsewhere. Like I had
Yeah,
actually emailed the right people like months ago, and no one said
yeah,
anything. I was like, all right,
uh-uh.
I'm just gonna do my own little project, let the hospital
Yeah,
actually open and stuff. This
yeah, yeah.
was
They can do their own
3
thing.
weeks
Yep.
after we opened. This was
Right.
the point, was like I couldn't even like I could mentally prepare stuff. We couldn't even make a room booking because it was just a pile of numbers. It was like room 3.0.7.
Right.
Like where is that? I don't know. So you can either look through the blueprints and try and find it, but even then it's like, where am I normally? Like, does that even make sense? Or is it like we've gone from one sprawling old building to like this multi-tower and the lifts don't connect and blah blah. So I was like, we're just gonna have to book it on after we move in. So it's 6 to 8 months of planning. And then the last 3 weeks was like where actually everything got done. Like all the rough mental ideas became concrete.
Uh-uh.
But as a result, like we had, and actually it was meant to be 7 people coming from Stanford, but then 2 actually left because they all wrote like, leave jobs and they go become heads elsewhere, etc. But then a few got blocked because of Trump's policies. Like one guy just did not want to go anywhere near the border. Like they're all American citizens. And then one guy was working in a VA hospital, so like a Veterans Affairs hospital. And so what happened was that, America is essentially private healthcare, except for Veterans Affairs, because then they're government funded hospitals. Those guys got all of Elon's emails every morning going, what are you doing right now? If you don't respond, you're going to get fired. So remember that little Doge exercise? So those guys were getting that, right? So they
Looking after patients,
essentially,
go away.
yeah. So, but what they basically were not allowed to do any non-essential work things. So they couldn't go for external trips or CPD things. They had to just work because they were under scrutiny. And that still remains. So this guy who was actually going to teach us all these sessions couldn't come because of we're talking about is politics removed. I was like, I did not expect this to be part of the thing,
Yeah,
but yeah,
political
it
problem.
ended up becoming part of the thing. Anyway, so only 3 came, but they were like amazing. Like one who organized the course that I go teach at, the other person does the longer version of the course. She was like amazing speakers that did so we did like gastric ultrasound, we did some regional stuff, like blocks and stuff. We just talked about so they have this thing where if you start at a department, so they don't have superannuation like we do, but someone sits you down and talks to you about finances, just general finances, like this is how you should invest. And this is how you're maybe so someone actually does that. Someone's role to kind of be like your little financial mentor. And then they have their
Can I be
actual
that person?
mentor.
Have you thought of investing in startups?
Yeah, well, there you go. But and then their other one is they have an executive coach. So different to being a mentor, which is like guiding you through your career. This person's like more like a therapist, if you like. So it's like they've done a course. So we did like a mini version of that, or like a session, and I was like, we're just reading off a script and filling in our answers, but it was really useful to the point where I think I'll actually use it. So we had all that, and then a couple of just like we had like dinner with a few of the other guys who came out, just like little social things here and there. And they really, really, really liked it. Like I have a card from them probably in there. One of the messages, which was kind of like, these people have written textbooks. These have done like their CVs are like 5 pages long, and like we're talking like 50 plus publications, like 10 plus book chapters. If like 2 of them have collaborated to write entire textbooks, like these are highly accomplished people. And one of the messages from one of them was like, this is actually one of the highlights of my career. I was like, wow, like I did not expect, like I don't know, it might be just a cheap message, right? But to even think about writing that is like way beyond what I thought my expectations were. So I'm glad they really enjoyed it. You were talking about like co-branding and all that stuff. So I've gone from no one responding to my emails to the CEO of our hospital responding within 4 hours based on this. And actually going back to the branding thing, along the way, we ran these ultrasound sessions, and because that person wasn't going to be coming to teach us gastric ultrasound, we had to kind of scramble. And one of the people who wrote the textbooks, she ended up teaching us the session, but she was like, look, I'm not the expert, so if you have any other people, like it'd be good. So I reached out to go like, hey, who else do we have? So the person who knows stuff in our department, she was leaving. So then I was like, oh, do we contact another department? But someone has to take leave from their normal job to come do this for. So then someone suggested like, hey, why don't you reach out to the guys that just sold us the ultrasound? So we just had a new contract with Mindray. So they so it turns out that supposedly the contract includes some teaching support. So this guy came out and he was just showing us this, that, and the other, because he's not a rep, so he's not trying to sell you anything. He's there purely as an educational.
He's already sold
and he
it.
was like, yeah, it's already sold. And he's like, this is actually included. No one seems to use it, but it is included in your contract. Like, we are here. Like, that's my entire role. I do not upsell. I have nothing to do with sales. I know the salesperson's name, and that is it. I cannot sell you stuff. If you ask to buy stuff, I can refer you to someone else, but I cannot do this. And I was like, right, like, you're truly just here as an educational support person. Yeah. And he was lovely. And so he helped us do stuff. And then he was saying, it's like, yeah, like, if you're like, this was really good, let's, like, if you're going to do it again, let us know, and let us know early. And we will sponsor like educational events and make it bigger if you want to. And I was like, okay. So, and then Mindray have started reaching out over LinkedIn the last few times, like for the last week, going, hey, do you want to maybe post about stuff? I'm like, what the hell's this? And it's like, oh, like, did you find anything surprising? And one of the surprising things, and this is the Stanford guide saying this, because we have this button, you press it, like, you choose the sort of scan, and all the calculations, there's like an auto AI button, you just press it and it does it. So like for gastric ultrasound, you have to calculate gastric volume. And then you have to trace around stuff and it gives you the volume, and then you compare it to the normogram. But this one, if you have the right view, you just press the button and it tends to auto detect the stomach and gets it pretty close every time. And then on the nerve block one, like, calculate trajectory, just shows you where you should be aiming. And these guys are at Stanford, where AI was invented, and they're like, none of our machines do this. In fact, they were like, we're going to go back and we're going to request that machine.
Yeah, we want that one, thanks.
So I was like, wow, okay, so we've got some actually decent gear, because, like, they have robots in every theater. So I was like, oh, this is probably like not used to them. And in fact, when I was there, they had like auto labeling stuff they were presenting anyway. But they were like, yeah, just never made a production, but clearly these guys have it, so we want it. So now Mindray are like, oh, can you post this up on LinkedIn and we can collaborate further? And if you want to demo any products, you just let us know. And I'm like, what is happening?
Brand collab.
Yeah, it's actually a medical brand collab.
Could you be like, oh, you know what I really wish? I wish I had my own pocket ultrasound that I could take around with me just to try it out.
That is literally the message. Genuinely, because I was in a private hospital and their ultrasound was kind of shitty, and I did need to do gastric ultrasound. I was like, man, I actually was going like,
I
maybe
wish I had a portable
one
in my car.
No, because it just sits in the back. These ones are really tiny, but it was actually would have made a clinical difference. We not really worked around it already. Like, that would have been something that, like, a series of things had to go right.
Create a video for them explaining this.
But I don't think they need a video from me, because they're like, it's specialist equipment, right? It's like, what's the point of a YouTube video? I don't know. Anyway, so weird brand requests have been coming in. So that's been one of the interesting
I'll have to
stuff.
Pick your brains on that.
And yeah, apart from that,
of your equipment on a boat.
But yeah, so going back to the original thing of, like, if you are doing interesting stuff, like you're on a boat and you're doing remote island things, I don't think it'd be too hard, because they all have like a social license fund, essentially. Like, it's like, hey, look at us. Yes, we're deforesting the Amazon, but we're saving cataracts.
Look over here.
Not to suggest that Mindray or anyone else is actually doing that, but, like, they have, like, they're commercial enterprises. They're not doing it just for, like, fun, but they do seem to have, like, a fund that is for social good. So yeah, I wouldn't be surprised. Like, Rahul, our good friend, probably has the contacts, because he has reps all the time, because he's doing a lot of stuff with the ophthalmic college and this, that, and the other. So I'm sure you'll find ways of doing this. I obviously don't know anything of the reps from Opthal, but yeah.
This is my mission this off season, to do a little digging and see what I can come up with.
Yeah. Well, I mean, our catch-up episode has well and truly blown it out of the water so much for 20 minutes. It's now 48.
Oops.
So I think we should try and be a bit more regular whilst you're here, so that we actually have a season's worth. But before we go, maybe did you have any interesting facts for the first of season 6?
Did you know that there are Wi-Fi controlled solar powered chicken coops? So
I actually knew this.
I did not. I'm staying at my friend's house, and he's also a little bit techie. I'm covering him at the moment, and he was like, so the only thing that's here at the moment is the chickens, but don't worry, I can monitor them via Wi-Fi. So there is a portable chicken coop situation down there that has an electric fence around it. It orders itself. It opens and closes the doors at the right time, and has lights inside, and like this like a tray thing so the eggs roll away and all of this stuff. It's like, huh.
So, do you remember? This is like showing our age. That program called Beyond 2000 that used to be on. It was on
Yeah, I
Channel
remember
10.
that.
So for
Yeah,
listeners that are
2000.
way too young or from other countries that might not have had it, there was this TV show that
For
used
way
to be
too old.
on. Called Beyond 2000, which was clearly around before 2000s in the 90s slash in the beginning of the 2000s as well. Where actually they changed to Beyond 3000 after it hit year two. I do
It's like,
remember
damn
that.
it,
It didn't last very long.
we didn't future-proof this name.
But basically, it was just like a weekend, sort of half an hour TV show, which would talk about the latest tech. This is like obviously when the internet wasn't big because you can't just look up the stuff. It was just like a weekly it was a weekly weekend summary of stuff. And back then, they had this thing where it was like an automated coop where there was a feeder, it was like a little funnel, and it would just drop stuff and it was timer based. You couldn't like, I don't think Wi-Fi existed then. Yeah, this is pre-Wi-Fi because we were just on
Probably
dial-up around the
Ethernet cable
time.
times. Yep.
Yeah. So automated chicken coop I first saw on Beyond 2000 back around in the 2000s. So you're just 20 years late to the party, my friend.
I'm
Well, I
made for
mean,
this.
do you remember we went to, I want to say it was Tassie. We went for a drive, right? And we pulled over and we went to some cheese, like some farm, and we had some cheese. This was
Oh, yeah,
like,
they had the whole connected stuff happening. Yeah.
well, they didn't have connected stuff then, but it was like,
No, I'm
so
pretty sure he had monitors, like, for the process.
yeah, I can't remember now. It was too long ago, but this is like at least 10 years ago. We were just driving around rural Tassie, I think. Yeah, because you had your RX-7 still. You were in that, I remember, because it was very bumpy. And we got to this farm and we were like, just like they had some cheeses. So we're just trying some cheeses. And then we're like, oh, like, so it's a small farm. It's like, oh, no, it's actually this 10-hectare property. We're like, wow, like, so our people are just out working. It's like, no, there's just 3 of us. And this is 10 years ago. And it wasn't automated per se, but tech had made it that, like, we're talking like, they were like in their 60s, if not 70s, plus one handyman who came to help out here and there. 4 of them ran an entire farm. So they had like a cheese area. They had like a wine area or something. There were some plants that were harvesting. I can't remember what they were. So farming has totally changed from like this labor intensive thing. I'm sure like you had to pick fruits and stuff. It's still fairly labor intensive. I'm sure
Fruit
there's
picking
tools for it.
robots.
Though. Yeah. But there is. But it's like, yeah, farming, what we think about farming has totally changed.
Yep.
Yeah. Oh, I did have yes. Well, there's no real segue here, but my did you know
What do you know?
is called Rover. So it's coming out in 2030, but Rover, as it's known, so ROOVER, is the nickname given to the next lunar explorer robot that's going to be deployed as part of NASA's program, which is being built in Australia. So Australia is designing the lunar rover. So, well, you didn't get the Mars one, but yeah, and because it's an Australian one, it's going to be called the Rover. I have no idea what it looks like. I would love it if it would have like kangaroo legs and it like hopped around instead of rolling. But man, can you
Maybe it'll
imagine?
have like, I don't know, a big prawn on it or something.
No. It should be a Roo, right? And can you imagine?
True.
Like, it's going to be the best ad for Qantas Moon by Qantas.
You thought Perth.
Qantas Moon. You know, we did sunrise. How about moonrise? All right. Anything else for our inaugural episode for 2026? Man, I can't believe it's taken that long, but we're on season 6.
I guess we've got a couple of things to catch up on.
Yeah. All right, dear listeners, that was a extra long, catch up episode, but we are back for season 6, and we will try to. Can you actually please either message Chandra on Instagram at Chandrashan or like send us emails or something so I can forward it to him and just go, "Oi, stop being slack. Answer your freaking phone and let's actually schedule some of these in."
I don't have any time zone problems anymore, so we're good.
Yeah, people don't care about your time zone problems. And you're, oh, look at me, I'm just eating lobster. Oh no, how will I record?
Very difficult, like between time zones and lobsters. How am I supposed to do this? Come on.
Tune in next season where he compares the different types of caviar that we are also familiar with.
Funny enough, I found a tub at Woolies for like $6. $6.
Yeah, I don't even know where to look in Woolies for caviar.
Also,
anyway,
no, this
with
was
that,
the IGA here.
Yeah, you can tell that he lives in a fancy suburb based on what his IGA stocks. I don't think my IGA has Mexican cola because it knows all I want is cheap sugar.
Diabetes.
With that, we will catch you in the next episode. We are back. Hooray. Wait. We need some. Is there sound effects? Is it?
Clap, 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 clap. Yeah, that's a sound effect.
It was meant to.
No,
it doesn't like it.
No.
We'll just do
There we
that
go.
one instead.
Yep, that works.
Hey. Catch you next time.
See you on the next episode.